Welcome back to another super episode where we want to go through the journey into motherhood. You know, this journey is so bespoke. It's specific for specific people. And each journey fills in the gap for each mom. Today I'm here with Steffi. Hi, Steffi.
Hey.
We've gone through this journey before, but thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you. Your story really touched me. It really, really touched me. So I'm happy to have the opportunity to share this with another mom. I believe that your story has the power to impact someone else and to almost open up the book at which they're just starting. They probably don't even know what the book is. Probably on front cover, but you've gone into it, you know how your story went, and I feel like this story will help another mom. So tell us let's start from the beginning. All right, tell us your story of your journey into motherhood.
Thanks. When you said from the beginning, I was like, do you want the beginning really?
Ultimate start.
Anyways, I got pregnant in July 2020. Yeah. So, as I got pregnant, my pregnancy was not easy. From the onset, I had I don't know what it's called. I've forgotten the name. Where there's a clot by the baby.
Right.
Yeah, so I was on bed rest for some time and taking progesterone meds just to ensure that the baby is intact and everything is okay. So that went well. After some few weeks, the doctor gave me a go ahead and she told me you can move now. Like I wasn't on bed rest, but I was just told like stay in the house because at that time we were staying on a top floor. And she's like, stairs first of all are your enemy, like stay away from those stairs. So I was just like, okay, I will stay away from the stairs, I'll stay in the house. And she told me not to lift heavy objects. I obeyed at the best I can, like the best I could. And then the time she gave me like a go ahead, let me tell you, I moved. I think I moved from one city to the other. So fast forward, it was still okay after I had that clot and the leak. Like I was okay for some time. Yeah. So the first trimester, not every mom, but
Everyone has that little side, that thing.
Yes. My first trimester was a disaster. I was always asleep, or I was always like nauseated and all that. But it wasn't as terrible as other moms because I know people like go through a period of just vomiting and all that. Yeah. And then my second trimester came in, it was much better. I was in a good space, and I remember I was always looking forward to just the kicks and everything, and just seeing my stomach getting big because I think with your first pregnancy you don't really blow up. So so my second trimester was just ending, and I remember that day so my husband and I usually take walks, and we went for a walk that day, and I was so tired, like my feet were in so much pain. So and I was from the shops, but I was still going for a walk. Like I was from the shops, roaming around Sarit, then going to Junction, then I don't know, to Karen. I was everywhere, and my body was like, no, like enough. But I wasn't listening to it, and I think I also forgot the element of just because I was off house arrest, it doesn't mean that I'm completely free. So I think that's one thing I should have always remembered. So that day we went for the walk, and it didn't last long because I was tired. Then I got back home and I'm like, I have to finish cooking because normally I just prep for the week. So I think that evening I had left chapatis. Like I was going to cook chapatis.
The most dramatic
food to cook.
The one that needs the most energy.
Yeah. I decided I must cook these chapatis. So I cooked them and then I went to sleep. And I remember I had to ask for my feet to just be massaged a bit because it was painful. Like I don't know, I was in pain. So the next day came and I got up. And normally I get up and I'm just on my phone, catching up on social media, responding to messages. And I had a terrible urge to go to the washroom. So I was like, the whole time I'm like, I'm so tired of this peeing thing.
Yeah,
Like, can I just chill? And it was bad. So I rushed to the bathroom. So as I peed, I noticed it was not stopping. So at this point, I'm 28 weeks pregnant. Yeah, waiting to go into my third trimester. Yeah. So I go to the bathroom. I'm going to pee, and I start going, and nothing. Like, it's coming out, and it's not stopping. So for me, I think I never had the ideology of, anything happening, because I was like, it's 28 weeks, it can't be anything. So I was like, hey, what's going on? I didn't drink that much water, and then so I sat. It just kept on going. So I finished, and I stood up. When I stood up, things are still pouring. So I'm just like, just clear water is pouring. And I'm looking down my legs, and I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, what's going on? So I panic, and I call out for help, and like, he couldn't hear me. So I take deep breaths. I'm like, relax. I take deep breaths, and I'm like, I can do it. I can go. See, there's a problem, without panicking. So I walk slowly, like I walk with like my feet together, because I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And in my head, I'm like, wait, close I close my feet, the less water that will come out. But I mean, it was just in the moment. So I rushed to the other room, and I just tell him, like, something is wrong. And he's like, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I look down, and I'm like, look. And he looks, and it's still like dripping. So I'm just like, you need to call the doctor, because I can't. So I start crying now, because I'm like, I cannot have my things together anymore. I just start crying. I'm just like, this is it. I don't know what's happening. You need to call her. And the irony of everything is, like, I think like 3 days before, I read an article of what you should do if you give birth to your baby at 28 weeks.
What?
Do you know how crazy that is? I remember that article, and I remember seeing it, and I brushed it off. I was like, this is nonsense.
You didn't read it?
I didn't.
Because I mean, at that point, you're just like, why would I read it?
I'm like, why? Like, it's only full term.
Yeah.
Like, I was only familiar to just, I think when you watch movies, and when you just hear stories, you mainly hear about people pushing 9 months,
Right.
going through 9 months and getting the baby. So for me, it was just I knew about premature births, but I didn't imagine it.
Yeah. It's not your portion at that point.
Yeah. So, and I remember I actually had a dream, and I had gone to see my mother-in-law, and I told her, I dreamt that I was in hospital, and there was an emergency happening, and there was an emergency. I was in hospital, and there was an emergency, and the doctors are around me, and the baby was being removed. So she's just like, okay, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah. So we moved on, and then now, like, I think 2 weeks later is when this happened. So my doctor just told me to lay down flat on the floor, just to ensure that nothing like comes out. So I remember us walking to the room, and I was being told, go on the bed. And the whole time I was like, why would I sleep on that bed and then make it wet, and then I come back in the evening, and then I will have to sort it out myself. I was like, no, not happening. Put towels on the floor. So we put, like, there was a carpet actually on the floor, so we just put some towels, and I lay there, and then just waiting for instructions. So we rushed. We were told to just dash to the clinic so that they can have a look at me and see what's happening. So at that moment, I called the only calm person I know during a storm. That was my dad. And I called him, because he's also a doctor. And I called him, and I told him, listen, this is happening. And he was just like, okay, are you lying down on your side? I said, yeah. He's like, okay, you guys just get to the hospital. Because at that point, I don't think anybody wanted to tell me what exactly is happening. and they didn't want me to panic because already I was crying. So I remember my mom calls me and she's like, she calls me and she asks me what's happening, and I said water is just coming out. Like for me, it's like it didn't process. Like I didn't process that my water broke. So I'm just like, water is coming out, and she's like, okay, why are you crying? And I'm like, cause. And she's like, stop crying.
Never. A mom was
Okay, I'll stop. So I got there, I got to the clinic, and I was just waiting for the doctor because now she's a mom. She had her school runs and everything, so she came. She tried to do it as fast as she could to just come and help me out. Yeah, so she came and she injected me with some steroids for the baby's lungs. Yeah, but at that moment, I don't know what's happening. I thought that she's stopping like anything. So she injected me with steroids.
So at that point, the injection is happening. They already have to be sure that this baby is coming out. Because the injection is supposed to speed up whatever is happening in the baby's lungs, right? Which means they're ready to receive. But are they telling you that? Or do they not
No,
know?
they're only telling now my husband. They're like only telling him. They're like, this is what's happening. He's the only person who knows. So my sweet aunts came because my parents don't live in the country. So my mom's sisters came to just check up on me and put me at ease. So the funny thing is, when they came to see me, they were telling me how my mom was. My mom called them to tell them, there's something wrong with Steph. And they're like, what's wrong? And she couldn't talk because she was crying. And I was just like, I was like, Mom,
Can you imagine her baby's in distress?
yeah.
Your baby's in distress and you were crying. So her baby's in distress. It's motherhood.
I swear, it's crazy. It's like a whole roller coaster. So she was crying, calling them, and with me she was all tough. So when they told me, I laughed. I was like, shame on you, mommy.
Why didn't you break down with me?
Then I think afterwards I asked her like why, and then she said, because I didn't want you to stress the baby. I needed you to be calm.
That.
Yeah.
You should have told her the same thing. Like, Mom, I didn't want you to stress the baby. I needed you to be calm. Like.
Yeah, so I was taken to hospital, and I think I was in hospital for 2 nights. I slept there for 2 nights, and then I think on the second night, I was so oblivious to the idea. I've only heard my friend have a premature birth, but that's because she had twins or something.
Right.
So for me, it was foreign.
Right.
I was just like, it doesn't happen to anybody. Yeah. So I got to hospital, and then on the second night, the doctor came to see me, and he's like, how's the baby doing? And I said, well, you guys seem to be feeding me really well because I've not felt the baby kick. And he looked at me, and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I haven't felt the baby kick. And I'm just like, I haven't felt the baby kick. And he's just like, okay. And this time I noticed his demeanor changed. He was a bit, he looked sad.
Right.
Yeah, because he told me like they would do their best to just keep me even for 2 weeks. Because I mean, at the end of the day, your baby's safest home. Yeah, so he said they'll try put me for 2 weeks, but now when I told him that I haven't felt the baby the whole day, maybe because my stomach is so bloated, and they're just looking at me, they're like, boy, poor child. Yeah, so I went for a scan, and the baby was okay. Her heart was beating, and I remember the whole time I kept asking the guy, can you tell the sex? Because I still had plans.
Yeah, of course. You're still carrying yourself as a normal pregnant woman. Like, you're not in any emergency at that point. Ironically, though, because you're in a situation, where are you? In a hospital, right? And they're keeping you, right? So, I don't know how, anyway.
So, so I kept asking the guy, can you see the sex? Can you see? And he's like, at this point, there's not even enough water. I can't see anything. It's just dark. And I just remember he said that, and I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, so the nurse took me through. She said, tomorrow we definitely have to get the baby out. So she just told me the procedure. You can't eat anything. in the from a certain period of time until we do the surgery. So the next day came, and I mean, I went for my emergency C-section, and I have to say that thing is traumatizing. Eh? I used to imagine. I remember even when I got pregnant, I'm like, I'm gonna get an elective CS because I thought it was the easiest option, you know. But like with the whole thing, the whole process, I was traumatized. Like I think when they were getting the baby out, I felt the tagging, I felt everything, and they had to put me out completely. And so I missed the whole moment of the baby coming out.
Why did they put you out?
Because I panicked. I was shivering, I was shaking, and I was, yeah, I became a bit hysterical. Yeah, they had to just put me out. Yeah, so
They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that CS is traumatic. They don't tell you that, you know, it's a very shocking situation. They don't tell you. They actually make CS look, you know, like you walk in with your manicured nails and your, you know, hair done.
there's no screaming, there's no labor pains.
Yeah, you like look in the sky.
Glorify it. Yeah, it's not what it looks like. Yeah, so I mean, the baby got out, and it was 28 weeks 4 days. So, and she was 1.1 kgs, so she's 1,100 grams.
1.1.
So yeah.
Fragile.
So that's when now the real reality started, you know, kicking in. And
so did you see her at this point, or are you now being wheeled back and you're in your bed and then you're being told?
Yeah, I've been wheeled back, I'm in my bed, and at that point I guess I'm just confused. Yeah, because I remember I kept telling the nurse, can I go see my baby? And she's like, I'll take you, because I was in and out of sleep. Like I would talk to people, and then while I'm talking I black out, you know. Yeah, so they kept telling me, we'll take you, we're getting a wheelchair. I think this chick got this wheelchair for like 5 hours.
You know, they also buy time so that you calm down. The
Yeah.
it takes time.
And I think I was so annoyed. I was just like, I just want to see my baby. Yeah, so how long was that?
Between the time your baby came out and the time you saw the baby.
That must have been like 8 hours.
Wow, that's actually quite long. Is that supposed to be? Or is there no telling?
I think there's no telling. I'm not so sure. Yeah, because I guess my baby, I gave birth to my baby at like 10 a.m. and I saw her at around 9 p.m. or 8. Yeah.
You've said something there that has just made me stand aback. Yeah. Please always absorb the fact that you gave birth to your baby. I love that. I love that you said you gave birth to your baby, because a lot of the times you feel like, okay, the baby was taken from me, or the baby was removed, you know, but you gave birth. That's beautiful.
Yeah, actually. When I was saying that, I was processing, because I was like, my baby was, and then I was like, I gave birth.
You gave birth. You gave birth to your baby. Yes, you did.
Actually, somebody also told me that, because I kept saying they gave birth, and then my baby was removed.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, and then they're like, no, you also gave birth. And I was just like, okay, I did give birth. Yeah. And even when I say that, I remember, I think it took 3 days for me to process that I have given birth to a baby, because I didn't tell people. I sat for like 3 days and I didn't know, because for me, I was still waiting for my EDD. Yeah, it was crazy. I think you just go through, it was just confusing. So like it took me 3 days to realize that I actually I've given birth to my baby. And I mean, it's a crazy thing to go through. And that's when I started texting people and telling them like what happened. So now I can go back. So after now, when I got to the opportunity to go see my baby, I remember going, there's the evening nurse who told me, I told her, can you bring me a wheelchair? I need to go see my baby. And she came and she's like, you know what? I don't think you need a wheelchair. Because since I still had the morphine, she's just like, just stand up. Let's go. We go to the bathroom first, and then I take you to the to see the baby. So she walked with me, and I was just walking like nothing happened. I was just walking, and now she took me now to the. I think I just wanted to see my baby. Nothing.
Wow. Stronger, a sensation stronger than pain.
Yeah.
And the CS pain is not a joke. It's not.
So I was feeling nothing. She said, but I was supporting myself because she told me you have to support yourself just in case you fall. And I was just like, okay. In my head, I was like, whatever. Like, take me to my baby. Yeah. So we walked, and I got to the NICU, and sorry. I remember getting to the NICU, and I mean, when you get to the NICU, you have to go through the procedures. You have to wash your hands, and I got in there, and I got to see my baby, and it was different. It was different. I mean, I guess it was different because I didn't know what's happening. You get in, you hear things beeping, you see your baby. She has all these, wires on her body, and now my baby had she had jaundice, so she had the eye things, and everything was covered up. She was under blue light, like I couldn't see her. And then she was covered with with cotton and all these things just to keep her warm. And I remember it was difficult because I saw her going through all that, and at that moment you really feel like a failure. Yeah.
Can I do something?
Yeah. You feel like a failure because I was imagining I was meant to keep my baby safe. I was supposed to be my baby's home, and I wasn't able to. And I mean, it's a process in life where you just have to learn that it's not your fault. It's not. Yeah. And that's taken some few it's taken months, and I guess I'm still healing through it. Yeah.
You're such a queen. You know that, right? Just your average, normal, typical birth is so hard to deal with, and now you've been added on all this other stuff. Everything else has been given to you. They say they never put the weaker person in the front line, right? In an army, always the stronger soldier is in the front lines. And so, I respect you for that.
Thank you.
So at this point, you're unable to touch your baby, or are they telling you stuff and then you can just see like I can't. I mean, it's a situation,
And you see the baby. I was seeing my baby, and I was too scared to touch her. But because she was tiny. She was tiny, yeah, and then I think she was also in a lot of pain. Yeah, because you can imagine all those needles going through your body, and you're so tiny. I remember the first time we tried touching her, you touch her and you could see she's like, it's like she was in pain. And yeah, I didn't touch her for some time. I think when I first touched her, I just used to stroke her with my index finger. Yeah, and I just didn't want to because she just looked like she was in pain.
Yeah. Add anything to make anything worse than it already is.
That even full-term babies, when they're born, it's like they somehow in some pain.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was just trying to imagine how it was 3 times worse for her. Yeah. Me getting through all this would not have been possible without our support system. I mean, apart from my partner, my mom's sisters, my mom, my mother-in-law, those ladies are phenomenal. And then my dad really spoke through like spoke to me through everything. Yeah. And then now also your friends and your family, and then it's really important. Like I thank God for giving me such a lovely partner, because he never missed a day. He never missed a day, and he continued working, and like he never missed a day. He was always there. Yeah. And it helped me get through this whole process. And I remember at that point, I never used to pick up anybody's calls. I never used to reply to texts because I don't know what to tell people. And some people want pictures, and I'm like, I can't send you pictures of my baby like right now, because I don't understand what's happening to her. And I mean, it's difficult.
It's really interesting to take pictures, because I realize that people don't have a grasp of how frail and how fragile preterm life looks like. It's supposed to be this Instagram, like, and now that the world is so heavy laden with image, people don't understand the reason why your tears are flowing, what you're seeing, what you experience, what you're going through. So when they're like, you just said, like, I realize that a lot of the freedom wants to actually just allow people to see how precious, how frail, and how much work your womb was doing. So much that when it comes out, like, it needs a squad, it needs a team of 20 people, So where is she now? How are you guys now?
Oh, we're good.
So how do you rotate that? How old is she?
Right now she's 8 months, but there's something they call an adjusted age, which is you have to use it, especially when your baby is under 1, or even just a little bit, maybe when they're 1.5. It's important to use it to manage your expectations, because she's 8 months, but she's 6 months.
Okay.
So you just subtract the weeks or the months that she missed out on, that she was supposed to be in the stomach. So it's about 2.5 months, but it's basically 3 months. So from the 8 months you subtract 3. So now you just have to manage that she's 6 months, and you.
This is in terms of growth progress, and milestones.
Milestones, because you see, sometimes your baby might not be able to start doing some things, and you start thinking, worrying, and even the weight, because premature babies tend to be smaller, than the full term. So let's say if she's born at the same time with a certain baby, same date, that baby will be bigger, and yours will be smaller. But if you don't remember that, you will give yourself pressure to like wondering why my baby is not is not progressing like others. But it's really not about that. But she's doing good. She like girl, I think when they say these COVID babies are built different, it really feels different. Sometimes I look at my daughter and I'm just like, excuse me? Like, where are you running to? She actually, I'm really thankful because she meets her milestones. She meets her milestones, and even the ones she doesn't meet, like she's just like, she takes a week, and she's like, I got this. And she's so lucky to have her cousin who's like a week older than her, so he kind of like sitting so well. I remember she spent like a day with him, and he was sitting, and she kept watching him like, hey, what are you doing? And I think in a week or 2 she was sitting. And I think that's another thing I'm thankful for. Like they have like a week apart, and I feel like they need each other. So I'm so thankful for both of them.
I really appreciate you, and I thank you so much for sharing this story. We're definitely going to work with you. So I want to swell this up. I want to take this further. I have no idea how, but I want us to touch the lives of preemie babies and moms who've gone through this journey to know more and understand more about what it entails, what to expect, what not to know, what to know, etc. And even out of the first year of life, which is the most important year though. But later on, like what happens, what do you do? And even those who are not preemie moms, they don't know. Like they're clueless. Like, oh, you know, how come, you know, what is NICU? You know, so I'm calling you to, you know, hold on to me and, you know, move a little bit further with the preemie. But I appreciate you still. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your story. It's been lovely. Join us again on another episode.